This begins Chapter 4, Lesson 1, dealing with division problems and patterns. So the problem of the day that I'm going to give you is half of the 24 students in Mrs. Martinez's class have pets. So half of 24 have pets. Now, half of the students with pets have cats. And half of those with cats have kittens. The question is, how many students have kittens? So if we want to look at this, so this is how it's kind of written in words with my wonderful scratchy handwriting. Let's say, so half of the 24 have pets. So the way we can represent half is doing 24 dividing by 2. If I ever divide by 2, I will get half of whatever I'm starting with. So 24 divided by 2 is 12. Half of my 12 that have, so that's how many have pets. So 12 students have pets. Half of those have cats. So we're going to divide by 12 again. So that's how many with pets. That's how many with cats. So then if we take the number again and divide it in half, that will tell us the number of students that have kittens. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. That means 3 students have kittens. So today what we're going to be looking for is 3 basic vocabulary words. And I will make sure that I keep referring to these as you go along. The first one is the quotient. And the quotient is always your answer when we're dealing with division. So if you take, so the quotient of 6 divided by 2 is 3. Then the next one we have is the dividend. So I'll make sure I spell it correctly. And the dividend is the number that is divided. There we go. So we've got our quotient, that's our answer. We have our dividend, that's the number that was being divided. And then the other one is the divisor. If my will work. And the divisor's job, oops, I spelled divisor wrong. I added an extra I in here. The divisor's job is the number used to divide the other number. In other words, that's the number that's doing the dividing. So if we go back to our example here, where we've got 6 divided by 3 equals 2. This is, my pen decided to work. This is my quotient. This is my dividend. It's the number that is being divided. And this number here is my divisor. So we've got our dividend, we have our divisor, and when we take our dividend divided by our divisor, we get our quotient. So now what we're going to do, just like when we were dealing with multiplication problems and we looked for patterns in multiplication, we're going to do the same thing dealing with division. So let's go back to my 6 divided by 3 equals 2. So dividend, divisor, quotient. Well, let's say I change it up and I make it 60. Change things up a little here. 60 divided by 3. What is that going to equal? Well, that's still going to equal 2. Well, let's say I change it, and now I make it 600. And all I'm doing is just tacking on these extra colors so you can kind of see it's still going around. And I apologize. 60 divided by 3 is 20. And 600 divided by 3 is going to be, oops, switch my color too soon, 200. And so if you can kind of, once you've got the pattern, you can kind of extend the pattern out. So now all of a sudden I've got 6,000 divided by 3. What would you guess this one to be? 1, 2, 3 as well. And I could keep going on and on and on and on this way. So there's where, if I change the number in the dividend, that will change the number in my quotient, always by a group of 10. So now I'll do the same thing. Still going to start with our 6 divided by 3 equals 2. And now I'm going to change it so that I'm doing 60 divided by 30 equals 2. And here I'm going to do 600 divided by 300 equals 2. So now if I continue this pattern, what do you think I'm going to do when I do 6,000? Just kind of as I try to think about it, what it's going to be. So I'm going to do 6,000 divided by, now 3,000 is still going to equal 2. And I could keep going. I could do 60,000 divided by 30,000. It'll still equal 2. And I apologize. I bumped the camera twice now. Alright, so what we're going to do is just kind of work with different ways to solve problems like this. So one of the ways that I like to solve problems like this, if I'm taking, let's say a cow eats 900 pounds of hay over a period of 30 days, how many pounds of hay would the cow eat each day at this rate? So in other words, what they're saying is, what's 900 divided by 30? Now, one way to go about is to use fact families, so that I know that 3 times 3 equals 9. And so 9 divided by 3 is 3. $90 divided by 30 is 3. Well, if I do 900 divided by 30, that gives me 30. So that's one way to go about solving it. Another way to go about solving it is to cross out the zeros to kind of make it easier. So I'm looking at my original problem of 900 divided by 30, so I'm going to do 900. Oh, I just did one too many zeros. Go away, 0. 900 divided by 30. Well, I'm going to get rid of a couple of zeros. This 0 and this 0 cancel each other out. So now I'm dealing with 90, kind of, if my pen works, 90 divided by 3. Well, 3 is going to go into 9 3 times, and 3 is going to go into 0 0 times. And so regardless, whether you go about using a division pattern to solve it, or if you cross out the zeros to make it easier to solve, the cow is still going to eat 30 pounds of hay each day. So now I'm going to let you have a chance to go about and practice a few of these. So I would like you to do 500 divided by 5. I would like you to do 420 divided by 70. I would like you to do 270 divided by 90. And then over here, I would like you to do 200 divided by 10. And then here, I would like you to do 150 divided by 30. And then I would like you to do 2,100 divided by 30. I like those 30s. Alright, so now I'm going to go through and I'm going to solve these. So 500 divided by 5, 5 goes into 5 one time, and then I just tack on my zeros at the end, and it's 100. 7 goes into 42 6 times, and since I have an even number of zeros, I'm good. 9 goes into 27 3 times, and since I have an even number of zeros, my answer is 3. 10 goes into 20 2 times, and since I have an extra 0, I just tack on my extra 0. 150 divides into, or 3 divides into 15 5 times, and I have the same number of zeros, so it stays at 5. 3 goes into 21 7 times, and then I have an extra 0, so it is 70. And if you had an easy chance at that, just make sure that you should do just fine. As you're going through your lesson, look at exercises 20 and 21 if you end up having to do those. Just make sure you write the correct number of zeros in the quotient, because there's different numbers of zeros. So identify some basic facts, write their quotients, cross out the same number of zeros in the dividend and the divisor, count the zeros that are left, and write that number of zeros after the quotient. And if you do well with that, you should do well with your assignment. And that concludes your